Hey guys, I'm Mike. This is Devin from Show and Tech.
And today we've got some massive E3 coverage.
Massive is an understatement.
Yeah, we had a lot of coverage, last week and over the weekend.
Yep.
And that's why we held off on last week's video. We wanted to get it all one thing and try to shoot a video. Then we got a whole lot more than we bargained for.
Yep.
So I think what we're going to do, we're going to try to do this in 3 parts.
Yep.
We're going to do 2 big topic sections.
Yep.
And then do another part where we kind of just rapid fire, go through a bunch of other games, that caught our eye, that's coming out,
right,
and that seemed interesting.
Yep.
So I think that's how we're going to do that.
So our first 2 videos, like you said, they're going to be like the major topics, right? The major ones you and me want to talk about and go into a little bit. The last one's going to be geared towards indie and maybe even a little bit of hardware, since we are about tech and stuff like that.
Yeah. There was a little bit of hardware shown off. I mean, it's video game hardware. It's tech.
Yep.
We got to talk about it. So we'll talk about that in our part 3 video. So why don't we switch over to our first game here?
Okay.
Let's see if I can get this pulled up in the background here. At least let the trailer play or something here. So I'm gonna let the background play here. We won't have any extra audio or anything like that, so we don't have to deal with that. But first one here, Battlefield 2042.
Yes. Now I have on this one, like, I'm super stoked, but I've also got some reservations about it. Now, first thing I want to say is they did an absolutely amazing job with the trailer this year.
Oh, I thought so too. Like, they remembered that it's a video game.
Right.
And, you got stuff like tornadoes flying. You got people jumping out of airplanes, shooting another airplane, landing back in the airplane.
It's
throwing 4-wheelers off of the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. It is definitely not just a traditional Battlefield trailer that's got those only in Battlefield moments, but it is really just a love letter to the fans and the antics that us Battlefield players get up to.
Right. Because, Call of Duty kind of went through this, Battlefield went through this. They tried to push for so much realism into the shooter, which, there's a place and time for that. But, this is a mass market game. It's not more of a niche game. And I think that they're finally kind of going back to, hey, yeah, we're a shooter, but we're also a game.
Right, absolutely. And Battlefield has always been known for those, originally they started out as more of a traditional, realism military game, but it's always had those big crazy moments, right? And as they progressed, they got into, all the players started doing all those wacky, crazy things, and the Battlefield community.
Well, it's like right here comes the 4-wheeler.
Right, absolutely. That is like, we would do that all the time. Yeah. Like, throw C4 on that and just ram it straight into a helicopter. Like, that's the stuff that Battlefield players do.
So, but yeah, definitely looking forward to it. This little gameplay trailer they put out during the Xbox event, it got me really hyped for it. I'm excited for it, and because they've upped the player limit again.
Right, absolutely.
For the Xbox Series X, PS5, and PC, it's going to be 128 total players.
Right,
so 64 versus 64. If you're on Xbox One or PS4. It'll still just be the 64, 32v32, unfortunately. Right. But on those newer ones in PC, yeah, we're getting more people.
Which is, maps. And that's insane to think about, because Battlefield, other than MAG is one of the only other games. Now, there's been some other ones come and go. Well, don't get me wrong, it was an amazing game. I hated that it was a PlayStation exclusive when it came out. But
I didn't, because I had a PS3.
Exactly, but I didn't. So, but it did a very good job of, doing what it was meant to do, which was compete with that Battlefield style, right? You had your mass game, your mass amount of players on a server. It was a shooter game that was oriented around, team play and stuff like that. So, MAG did an excellent job for what it was meant to do, which was be a PS3 kind of competitor for Battlefield.
Right. And for anybody who didn't play MAG back in the day, it was 128 versus 128 players.
Right.
It was an online only shooter.
Yep.
Kind of like you're seeing now. Battlefield has no campaign. What do you think of that?
Well, on one side, the single player person in me is like, man, that sucks because Battlefield had some pretty good, single player stories up until recently where they've started doing more, episodic single players. So when they started going to that, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, right?
Right.
But at the same time, I'll be 100% honest. Battlefield, except for Bad Company, was never really geared around the single player experience anyway.
Right. And, it doesn't really hurt my feelings personally because I've never been into the single-player shooters that much myself. Like, I've never played a Call of Duty campaign. I've never played a Battlefield campaign. I always strictly bought it for the multiplayer.
Right.
So, there's always two sides to that camp.
Right.
You've got people that, they buy it for the multiplayer, but they wanted that single-player experience, too, because they loved the story behind it.
Right.
And then, like, my side, like, I could care less. I just wanted to get on with some friends.
Right.
And, play some games, capture some zones.
And that's one of the main reasons why I'm not going to down them for that. I kind of, I want to down them in a way for it because of my single-player stuff. I love single-player. I love a good story, especially if it's got, those very harrowing moments in it. But at the same time, 90% of the time, I'm going to be on Battlefield with you and, other people that we play with, and we're just going to be messing stuff up.
And we're going to have a game for that particular person here in a minute anyway. So
right, absolutely.
You'll be good there. So I'm super looking forward to it. I think, what was it, October? Coming out in October?
Yep.
Late October.
Before we move on, one thing that I'm kind of, I'm curious to see is this year they are expanding on, their 4 or 5 class system, right? And so they're going to have specialists within those classes. Now that, I'm really going to have to play it first before I comment on how it feels, because to me it seems like it's moving in the direction of, the Black Ops system was, where you have your specialists.
More of a hero kind of shooter.
Right,
kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I'm definitely interested to see that too. But I think they've still got enough. They're going to still have enough customization.
Oh, absolutely,
on
for
the guns and everything that I think it'll be all right. But from my understanding, any of the operators can still use any gun, no matter what specialty they're on.
Yeah,
so I think that'll help a lot.
The specialists are not locked down to a certain gun. Really, the only thing is they have a gadget that nobody else can use.
Right.
So it is going in that specialist direction. And like I said, I'm not downing it yet. I really feel like I have to play it and feel it before.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Let's get a feel for it for sure. Like I said, I think it's going to end up being all right because, like you said, Black Ops did it. Call of Duty's done it in a couple of games. Just Black Ops first one.
Yeah. Now my thing is, I do not want them to go to a Black Ops style. Right. I feel like, if they put that in there just to compete with games that were doing it like Black Ops, I think that's a bad move because then it seems like they wouldn't have put a lot of thought into it.
Right. I feel you. I definitely understand there. So, but speaking of, Call of Duty, Battlefield, there is no Call of Duty this year.
Right. We actually didn't get a Call of Duty drop this year.
So, Battlefield, Call of Duty is usually Battlefield's #1 competitor.
Right. Neck and neck.
But there's somebody else coming in this year that we haven't seen in a while that could maybe throw a wrench in it. It's Halo Infinite.
Yep.
It's supposed to be out, this
Absolutely.
holiday. I think it's supposed to be closer to Christmas, maybe November, December.
Yeah, I think it said December.
But see if we can't get that playing in the background here. Let that start rolling while we talk about it a little bit.
And I gotta say, just the gameplay itself brought back so much nostalgia.
Right.
And so much of all of those times that you and all of our group and everybody's gotten together and played. It's I'm looking forward to it.
Right. And I think that was in one of the interviews they were talking about that they wanted to bring the old school Halo back.
Right.
And just from this gameplay trailer here, I think they nailed it myself. It looks good. It reminds me of when we played Halo, like you said. And that's some very fond memories for me. So, and I'm definitely interested in checking it out. What's cool about it, apparently the multiplayer is free.
Right, absolutely. So it's the multiplayer's been basically separated from the single player. And of course there's going to be a bunch of content, it seems like they're going more in the live service direction on that too, where they're going to be pumping a lot of content.
I was getting a lot of Apex Legends vibe.
From
the way they were talking about it. They're going to have, the battle pass. Fortnite too. But I don't like Fortnite. I like it. I'm an Apex guy myself. But battle pass. Lots of cosmetics. Like you said, going to kind of lean into that live service side of it with the multiplayer. And you know what? I don't think that's a bad direction. I like. If they can pull it off as well as an Apex, or even Fortnite, the way obviously this is not a battle royale,
right?
But like Fortnite, they've got their arena or not Fortnite, Apex,
right?
Their arena shooter version, and and this is Halo, which is like the daddy of all the arena shooters,
right? Exactly. And if you really think about it, like Halo, even though it wasn't technically live service, because of the community that it had throughout all of its games, it might as well have been a live service. Right. I mean, you're talking about the Forge, where people would come up with all these crazy and like in-your-face amazing game styles in different maps and games. So they were pretty much the ones pumping the live service feature into it. Was the community itself, right? Because they would get into the Forge, make all these crazy things, and then they put it out there, and some of them would even get picked up and put on Bungie playlists. So going in a live service direction with Halo Infinite, I agree with that. There's some games out there I don't agree with it for. There's some games out there I do agree with it for, and Halo is one of those that it was pretty much already had a built-in live service with it anyway, and that was the community.
Right. So I think it's a good move. I think I like the decisions they're making, and if it plays as good as it looks, which is that's the big question anymore. Right. Because we've had a lot of games that looked really good.
Yep.
I'm looking at you, Anthem. And then just came out bad.
Yep.
Bad. But Halo's got that pedigree. They've got Microsoft money behind them.
Yeah,
I think they can pull this off because we haven't. What Halo 5 was 5 years ago or something like that. Now pretty close.
It's been about now.
I don't remember Halo 5 doing too well because I haven't really heard much. Halo 4 did pretty good.
Yeah.
I jumped out around Reach myself.
Right. Yeah, Reach was about the last one I like religiously played.
So I'm looking forward to this one. And like we said, since it's the multiplayer portion of the game is free, I don't see why not to even try it.
Right, absolutely.
Just give it a shot. See what you think. But yeah, so and Battlefield's their only other real shooter competition, for the online,
right,
shooter.
For online kind of.
We're still going to have Warzone out there.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out with a new season, but there's no big Call of Duty release this year.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting to see how, Halo and Battlefield kind of duke it out there.
Interact with each other. But, and in all honesty, and you can say the same thing about the Battlefield and the Call of Duty camps, so to speak, is they're two different style of shooters, right?
Oh, for sure.
So, Call of Duty is going to make it no matter what because it has its Call of Duty camp.
Right.
Battlefield is pretty much going to make it no matter what because it has its Battlefield camp. Battlefield 5 was a disaster, right? It was very underwhelming, the game, unfortunately, like a lot of EA games, even though it was DICE, but because EA was the parent company, it felt rushed out. It didn't have the content that it felt like it needed to. And a lot of people were mad about that, but you know what? It still made it. It still made the numbers.
Right. And, luckily for EA, like you said, this is a DICE game, and DICE has built up that reputation hey, even if we flop, we're going to fix it. And, they did. Battlefield 5, it's still going strong. They're still, putting content out for it. So, but that's, like you said, that's DICE for you.
Right. And, you can make the argument that DICE kind of stepped back away from that name for a while because of, look at the Star Wars Battlefront game. Battlefront 2 was an atrocity. But after EA heard the repercussions from all of the fans and everything, it took them a while, but DICE finally stepped back in there and kind of wrestled control of it back away from EA itself and was able to start pumping content into it, start fixing a lot of what was going on with it, and actually end up making a good game. It seems like now EA has maybe a little come to the realization that they kind of have to back off their studios a little bit and let them have some creative control of it. Of course, EA is going to do EA's thing, and it's going to step in there, and it's going to go, well, we need to put this in and this in and this in because we have to make our money.
Right. I feel like, you know, kind of EA's had that bad rep for so long now. I really want to give them that little bit benefit of the doubt, and hopefully they can kind of keep that trend going.
Yeah, and they've had a change of leadership too. A new CEO has come in, and there's also been a new I don't remember exactly what her position is, but they put a new lady who has been integral in a lot of EA games in a head position, going directly to developers and being like a bridge between the developers and the fans, the community, and going, what do you want to see in these games? And it seems like that direction and that position has actually helped a lot, because with a lot of EA's games that are being released and a lot of the trailers we're seeing coming out of EA now, they're starting to reboot the Mass Effect series now as well. It seems like they're gearing up to try and salvage that reputation a little bit, which is good. I like to see them going in that way. As always, though, because of EA's, history for the past 10 years, I'm going to keep that grain of skepticism.
So, yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, and hopefully stays for good. And like I said, I'm can't wait to see how the community with Halo and Battlefield, and no new Call of Duty, obviously Warzone, like I said,
it's a good year for them.
So let's see how they take this opportunity, because like you said, Call of Duty always, like Battlefield, new release, it's going to do good. There ain't one, so let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
So let's jump on to a little bit more your kind of game here.
Okay, all right.
Let's jump into Stalker 2.
Stalker 2, man.
A lot of people I know have been asking for this for a while.
Absolutely. So, and it's, the sad fact about it is Stalker 2 has had such a great community following that has asked for this for so long, and yet it has been in development hell, so to speak, for so long as well. Everybody was looking forward to it, but it kept getting passed off to, new game developer after new studio after new studio. So it looks like now finally we've got it in the hands of a good studio. They put a lot of work into it. They're bringing back that very much old Stalker feel and making sure it translates well into new game mechanics.
Right. I never played the original Stalker. It looks like this is a very tactical, stealthy type of shooter.
Can be. Now, it can be an all-out too, but you're going to die a lot.
Gotcha.
So
it was kind of meant to be more of a stealthy, but it gives you the freedom to go otherwise.
Right. It's kind of one of those more traditional survival shooters, so you don't really go guns blazing a lot, but there are points that you go gun blazing, right? Okay. So you've got to watch out for the anomalies around the zone. As well as sometimes you have to worry about anomalies while you're also fighting another group of people. Of course, the original Stalker was, one of those first kind of styles of doing, along with, like Far Cry, like an open world-ish feeling shooter that had a storyline behind it with, not really RPG mechanics, but semi-RPG mechanics.
Okay, right. So this is kind of what I was alluding to a while ago. Yeah, you're not getting your Battlefield story, but you're getting
and I am
shooter story.
I am definitely looking forward to the Stalker 2 story and see where it takes us. The first one was just an absolute roller coaster and had a pretty good cliffhanger. So we'll see where Stalker 2 goes.
Yeah, and got the gameplay playing in the background here. It looks amazing.
Absolutely, like I was blown away with how good the fidelity of it looked, and of course it's going to have. I saw an developer interview. They were talking about they're integrating the DLSS into it. Mm-hmm. They're integrating the ray tracing into it. So, I mean, the game itself is going to look just amazing.
This is the type of game that would, immensely benefit from that type of lighting tech.
Absolutely.
Because it's a very shadow, very light-driven kind of game.
Yeah.
So once you start getting your ray tracing, mixed into this, it just looks great.
And all of that very much plays into the suspense and horror mechanic that was, true to life of what the Stalker originally was. Because, you're constantly managing your resources, your ammo, what weapon you want to use, the upgrades you're doing to it. But you also need to worry about your credits to make sure you can buy the ammo that you need. And while you're worrying about all that, you also have to worry about these very dark spaces that you're going into to do your next mission or scavenge a new piece of tech or something while you're worrying about all these anomalies around the zone.
Right.
So it's the spot that we're at now with video graphics technology is going to play into this all the more. And it just looks like it's going to be an amazing game.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. Like I said, it's usually not the kind of game I play, but it's definitely something I would probably enjoy watching, like on Twitch or something for sure.
And there's so much call for that nowadays too. So many people get on Twitch or get on YouTube and just watch somebody do a playthrough. So and that's a whole nother marketing area that you could go into as well if we wanted to. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a heck of a game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Right, wonderful. So, definitely look forward to that. Was that a this year game? Was there a release?
I can't remember what the release was. I believe they did put a release on it.
A sec, probably here. Okay, yep. It is a next year game. April 20th, 2022 is what they got it set at right now. So cool. So let's kind of keep this shooter thing going. Won't we jump into another multiplayer? Won't we do Back 4 Blood?
Back 4 Blood. All right. So this is some of the original producers and team members that worked on Left 4 Dead are with another studio now, and they're working on this title, Back 4 Blood. And it definitely looks like a return to that very core 4-man team, co-op based multiplayer shooter.
Yeah. So if you ever played Left 4 Dead, this should be a very familiar setting.
Yeah.
We've got zombies.
Yep.
We've got 4-player co-op.
Infected, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna say zombies because come on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. So there we go. We're from creators from Left 4 Dead. Swarms and swarms of infected zombies, and you gotta get out.
Absolutely.
And it looked like they've added a bigger mix of enemy variety. Looked like this time.
Right. Absolutely.
I only played very little Left 4 Dead. I just never had anybody to play with. You know what I mean? So it just wasn't as interesting, obviously, if you not have,
absolutely. It was definitely geared around co-op.
But what little I got to play of it, or when I seen somebody play with, it didn't seem like the variety was very. But like this one, I've seen like 3 or 4 different look like enemy types going on here.
Right. So one thing that they were actually showcasing was the amount of variety of stuff they have. So let's just take like the regular. I can't remember what they call it, the swarmer, so to speak, the basic zombie.
Yeah.
There was like 2 or 3 different types of variety of that, and a lot of it plays into the PvP aspect that they're releasing with it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because with the PvP now, you'll be able, 4 people will play as Swarm, and 4 people will play as survivors, right?
Right.
And so the survivors will hold out as long as they can while you're trying to take them down and gaining points and building the swarm more. And then it will switch, right? So then the other team will try and hold out as long as they can, and the objective is to hold out longer than the other team did, and whoever does wins. And they were showing off the amount of difference in the enemies. So like the big guy, right? I think there was 5 different variations of the big guy.
Right.
And all this is going to be in the single player too, and what you come across. One will be like a slam, one will be like reaches out and grabs you and brings you back and then slams you on the ground. So whereas The slam guy was more geared around like mass effect damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mass area damage. The reacher's more geared around like picking guys off and bringing them back, and then like almost getting a guaranteed kill, right?
Right.
So I want to say there's literally 3 times as more enemy types as there was in the original Left 4 Dead types. And it's just massive, dude. It looks amazing.
Yeah, definitely pulling back or trying to keep that, that co-op survival going.
Yeah.
Because you had Left 4 Dead. What's another one of those big games that was a lot like that?
Okay, so yeah, we also got an announcement for a game called Redfall.
Yeah, we got Redfall coming. So the very similar style kind of game.
Right.
This was vampires, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more like a kind of mythical creature vampire style. So basically, it seems like it's got that Left 4 Dead feel, but it seems like each of the survivors are going to be more set out in what they can do. So like with Left 4 Dead, you had all of the survivors had a certain specific, thing that they would do, but it wasn't like it had a lot of variety of what it was that they did, right?
Right.
This definitely seems like a more kind of class-based sort of style Left 4 Dead sort of setup. So it's based around vampires, of course, instead of zombies, but like each player is going to have a unique, seems like, skill tree and skill set that they're going to do. I don't think this trailer shows a lot of the gameplay. I think this is a theatrical trailer. However, the gameplay that they have put out looks really well tweaked right now.
Right.
And of course, I don't know if does that have a release date yet?
I want to say it did. We'll see if it has one here at the end.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is kind of an interesting take on a very similar formula,
right?
Of what that 4-player survival co-op. See right here we got vampires instead of zombies.
Yeah.
Personally, I like the setting change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't. Zombies are very oversaturated right now. There's a ton of zombie stuff out there, so. And it definitely, like, you can tell by the trailer, too, that they put together. They definitely are bringing a sense of humor to it. Which, the original Left 4 Dead developers brought a sense of humor to that genre as well. When the first Left 4 Dead dropped, the trailers were a lot like this, where there was sense of humor to it. It was like, yeah, we're trying to survive this crazy, outbreak, but, hey, we're going to have some fun as well. Yeah. And they've definitely brought that to this trailer. So
I like the little biped robot companion they got going on here. I thought that was a pretty cool little thing going on. I wonder if he's like tied to one of the characters or not.
I'm sure he probably is. It's probably, and I don't know which one, but that seems like it would be kind of a skill sort of thing tied to.
And we were talking about mob variety in the last game. This one looks like it's probably going to have quite a bit of mob variety as well.
Yeah, based off, what we're seeing in the trailer. I mean, just the different enemies they interact with in the trailer, it definitely seems like there's going to be a good variety.
So, should be fun. Should be interesting. I think it's going to kind of show here for a second. It looks like, one of the characters kind of got like maybe some telekinesis type powers. We got like your Hawkeye looking dude here.
Right, yeah. He's your more stealth sort of gameplay, kind of helping take big guys down with a big-ass rifle that he can kind of hide from the horde with. And then on the telekinesis later on, it shows her kind of at the end where she's like loading bullets into her gun with her telekinesis power and then cocking it. And I'm like, oh man, that looks so cool.
Yeah, so... It definitely looks like it's going to be another, fun take on that type of genre.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. There we go.
There we go, right there.
There's a shotgun reload. So, looking forward to it. Definitely looks interesting. Hopefully we got enough people to play some rounds with or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
See if there was a release date here. summer next year still.
Right.
So I'm sure we'll see some more on that soon, and sure it won't be the last time we talk about it.
No, probably not.
So, so for this first part of this video, I think we got one more big game we want to kind of go over. And I believe that's Far Cry 6.
Far Cry 6, absolutely. So, right off the bat, one of the most memorable things about the Far Cry series is, of course, the villains, right? Every time a new Far Cry comes out, they put almost as much work into the villain and his story and his personality as they put the whole freaking game.
And this looks like they've leaned hard into that.
Definitely.
You know, several trailers they've showed now, it's been all about, you know, the president of this country.
Right.
And, yeah, they've leaned hard into the villain story. And, you know, they've leaned into it so much so that, you know, it kind of makes you want to question, is he really the villain of the story?
Right.
Or is he the story of the game?
Right. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because it seems like a lot of the times the Far Cry games end up being just that, right? Mm-hmm. Is the villain really the villain, or is the villain just this person who has unfortunately went in a very messed up way of dealing with the circumstances that they're in?
So I don't know. It definitely looks ambitious.
Oh yeah.
They've always seemed like they've always tried to push the envelope with, you know, open world craziness,
right,
of the game.
Even, you know, because of the Cry engine, one of their proprietary things, you know, the graphics of it, the story of it, you know, the, like you were talking about, the open world and craziness that's going on. Yeah, they usually always try and push the envelope on those.
Yeah, you know, speaking of the graphics, you know, the world, the town, the building, the weapon models, everything looks, looks great.
Yeah.
But I had one little tiny criticism.
Okay.
Excuse me, man. I don't think the actual, like, people models look as refined as the rest of the game.
Right. So I can kind of agree on that point. The character models definitely look a little toned down. But, you know, that's kind of something that you usually run into in the Far Cry series, because they spend a lot of time working on the world and making sure the world looks good. Yeah, you see these character models as you go throughout the world, but your own character model, you know, you don't usually see a lot. Mm-hmm. So they usually spend a lot of time working on the worlds, the weapon models, and making sure that most of your play is immersive as far as everything.
I mean, they still look good here.
Yeah,
but it's just like,
it's, you know, not down in them. They do look
everything
good.
Around the character, you know, and the other, you know, character models in the game and whatnot. It just doesn't seem, I don't know, it just almost wants to stand out to me.
Right.
But, you know, like you said, you know, once you get to playing this game, you're probably going to be able to see past that pretty easy.
Right, absolutely. It's not really a huge immersion-breaking thing. I did notice that they're bringing back the buddy system sort of thing from the Far Cry 5 game, where as you trail around through the world, it looks like you have different animal companions and other people that you can bring along with you, AI controlled to help back you up.
Yeah, and it also looks some of the DLC content after game stuff they're going to be adding to this, where you can actually play as the villains. Right,
so I'm glad you brought that up, because I definitely wanted to touch on that. So, like I was talking about earlier, it's definitely one of those things where sometimes it feels like the villain is almost a product of the circumstances that they're in. So are they really the villain? Mm-hmm. Well, that is one of the driving forces behind Far Cry. They make you question, even though you're playing this and it's fun and everything, they make you question, you know, if this were actually real life, would I be the villain? Because this person has just, you know, done what they had to make it through. And so now we're actually going to get to see some of that, because their stories are so amazing. And their backstories and the circumstances that they've come through, all of that is just so well thought out. And it's almost like you could imagine, like, man, if I was in that situation, I might go down that road too. So now we're actually going to get to see some of that. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to that as much as I'm looking forward to the new game as well.
Right. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going to be a very big, ambitious game, just like all the previous ones.
And as a matter of fact, if you've never played any of the Far Cry games, along with their E3 announcement, they discounted almost all of their previous games. You'll be able to pick up all of them at a discount right now. So
cool.
If you're looking, if you want to start getting into the Far Cry series, pick some of those up, check them out. Far Cry 3, I'd suggest starting about there. The older Far Cries, they've been remastered, but it's still kind of that older shooter style.
You know which one? I haven't played a lot of them, and especially I haven't played them very much. But one that I almost got that I ended up not getting, I don't remember why. Honestly, probably because of Destiny 2 that soaked up so much of my life over the years. Far Cry Primal looked really interesting.
Primal, okay, yeah. So Primal was it was a good game. The mechanics were good. It was kind of an offshoot, right? And so to me it didn't feel like it had as much content. It felt like one of those rushed out games, right?
Sure.
Gameplay was great. The underpinning was great. The mechanics were great. It just didn't feel like it had enough content to me. Right. So right now, while it's discounted, that'd be the perfect time to pick it up and play it.
Sure. So, yeah. I think that covers it for today's part.
Yep.
Bunch of shooters right there. Single player shooters, multiplayer shooters.
Right. Little something for everybody.
Should be a great, next year or so for shooting games.
I do want to mention real quick, just kind of a honorary mention, so to speak. We got the Outer Worlds 2 announcement.
Yeah.
Now, whether that comes out in, a couple years or whatever, we got the announcement. So it's there. So, looking forward to it. Yeah. I'm sure that's going to be a great game when it comes out.
I just love the irony in all this.
I know, right?
Because Microsoft bought Obsidian. And Obsidian, like we've said before, they did the Fallout New Vegas.
Right,
which
absolutely.
Everybody adored. And then, everybody always wanted a sequel, but obviously they never could get back in with Bethesda to get the rights for the Fallout. So essentially, Outer Worlds was their version of Fallout.
Right.
And they did it so good, they're getting a sequel, but then Microsoft turns around and buys Bethesda. So now you've got Bethesda and Obsidian both under one roof.
And it intrigues me a lot.
Almost competing with each other.
Exactly. But even though they're semi-competing with each other, of course now it's all under the Microsoft umbrella, so Microsoft's going to make its money no matter what. The interesting thing is it also maybe opens those doors again for co-working together.
Maybe.
Are we going to get a sequel to New Vegas 2 or New Vegas?
Maybe. That'd be awesome.
Fans loved New Vegas. They've asked, for a sequel for it, but Obsidian couldn't lease it again. Now that they're there, are we going to get it? I'm curious.
We'll see. I don't know. I think since they did so good with their own IP, we may not.
Well, and that's true.
Possibility.
Obsidian has always really done really good in whatever IP that they've been in. And of course, absolutely, now they have a new IP. But now that they're under Microsoft, they're also getting access to a lot bigger pool of money.
Oh, yeah.
Which means they, theoretically, if they wanted to do that and go back into the Fallout universe and release another New Vegas, they now have the access to the capital to do that if they wanted to.
Yeah. So, definitely look forward to seeing, maybe one day that we get that.
Maybe.
That'd be great. So, all right. Well, I think we're going to sign it off there. Be sure to look out for our next video. Should be posted up pretty close to this one.
Yeah.
And we'll catch you on the next video for some more E3 coverage.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm Mike. This is Dev, and peace.
We'll see you next time.